Hi everyone, it's James here. Welcome to another video. So the theme of this video is going to be music which sounds great on headphones. Just take these off for a minute. And this is a video that I've thought about doing for a while, so I thought I would actually bite the bullet and do it. So headphone listening is something which you either do or you don't. I kind of do a lot nowadays because in my house I'm the only music fan really. And music gets on people's nerves in my house. People are either not interested in it or they actively don't like it, generally. So I tend to sit on the sofa here in the evening, play a couple of records, put my headphones on, and I'm lost in my own little world. And I have noticed over the years there are certain records, certain songs that just sound great on headphones. The first album I ever remember listening to on headphones was Paul McCartney's Tug of War album. And that blew my mind when it came out when I think I was about 10 or 11, something like that. And I'd always listen to music, on a record player or a tape recorder, and then just to hear the music in my cans, it was a really kind of life-changing moment almost. That kind of anybody who's old enough to remember the 1980s and the Sony Walkman revolution will just be able to recall how thrilling it was to not just have music on the go, but to have that experience of being able to completely cocoon your ears and your mind in music. It was something which is not going to be forgotten in a hurry. And to this day, I still enjoy listening on headphones. It's a very different experience, and often it takes me by surprise, really, sometimes, how different music can sound on headphones. You can hear things in the music that you can't hear, even if you're listening on a big set of speakers, or rather you can hear the stuff on the speakers, but it's not the same. It's not the same experience. You get much more up close, intimate with the music. And it occurred to me, making this video, I'm just going to show this record, Combat Rock, that there are some great records which don't particularly sound great on headphones. They're not they're not records which have a particularly well put together sound as such. It might just be that there's great songs on the record, or it might be there's great musicianship, but there's something about the production and the arrangement which doesn't particularly lend the record to sounding great on headphones. There are some records which do sound great on headphones though, and as we go through the list, my list here of 10, I'll kind of try and explain to you what the qualities are that, to me anyway, makes for great headphone listening. So the first thing, just music which is densely layered, often can sound fantastic on headphones because you're kind of inside the music, and if the music is layered, you can often get that sensation of slipping down through the layers. It's kind of like peeling an onion. And on headphones in a darkened room, a track such as, on this record, Straight to Hell by The Clash, there's all kinds of things going on in the mix. It's got quite a dubby production. This was the album that they did, that they recorded when they were really heavily into dub reggae. And it was produced, or mixed rather, by Glyn Johns, and there's an incredible sense of space on this album. Just the way the instruments are placed, and there's just lots and lots of stuff going on. It's like kind of shifting scenery, and the textures are all really interesting and beguiling, and the stuff that you just don't hear when you listen to songs, like the song Should I Stay or Should I Go? We've all heard it a million times before, and it's like when you hear it coming on the radio, your ears just accept it. It's almost like your ears just tick it off. You listen to it and you go, oh yeah, it's Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. But if you listen on headphones carefully to that record, the production is really interesting. The way the guitars are layered and produced, there's a hell of a lot more to it than you might think. So that's my first choice. This entire album, actually, Combat Rock, is great on headphones, but that one particular track, Straight to Hell, and also Should I Stay or Should I Go, both absolutely tremendous. Okay, then next we've got this album, Kate Bush and Never Forever, which is my personal favourite Kate Bush record. This one I would describe as oral cotton wool. It's very, very smooth and magical sounding. It's like sinking into a bath of hot bubbly water. Any of the songs on this record sound great on headphones. Babushka sounds fantastic. The track that I will highlight on this though is Blow Away, which is the third song on side one, which has beautiful kind of Rhodes piano on it and a very sparkly vocal from Kate. You can almost see the fairy dust trails coming off her voice as she sings, and it's a very immersive sound. And there's quite a few Kate Bush albums which sound good on headphones. Hounds of Love sounds fantastic. Sensual World sounds great as well. But yeah, Kate is definitely a headphone artist. This is a record that I listened to on headphones a while ago, and one of the songs on it blew me away. This is the Beach Boys and Holland. And let me just see if I can make sure I don't give you the wrong information. Yeah, so the song that really blew my ears was The Trader, first song on side 2, which is not a particularly well-known Beach Boys song, but it's just beautiful. It's got a very focused production, and again, it's very intricately layered and very sensual. This great bass playing and keyboard work on it, and it's just fantastic to listen to. The Beach Boys, I think, are a great headphones band. Think of Surf's Up, think of Pet Sounds. It's music to lose yourself in, really. This next one, a favourite from my childhood days, really, but Band on the Run. I first started listening to this record on headphones in my first year at university. Because I had a CD Walkman, my first CD Walkman, which had headphones, obviously. But the track that always used to really impress me, I mean, this is a really good headphones album anyway. It's got a very unique sound to it, very kind of unique production. Again, the arrangements, they're not exactly intricate, but they are very well considered and it's a very carefully made album. I think often headphone music, it's got to have that quality of it. The sound has been sculpted. It's not a chaotic sound, it's not a raw sound, it's a highly sculpted sound. But the track that always did it for me on this record was Let Me Roll It, on the end of side 1, which was the track that people always used to say it was Paul McCartney trying to do John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. Again, there's a lot of space on that particular recording, and you can hear guitar tracks bleeding from one track to the next, in the mix. So you've got the main event in the headphones, but you can hear all this other stuff going on underneath, tracks bleeding through, guitars or little fragments of vocal. Again, it's a bit like a dub track. Works really well. So, yeah, Let Me Roll It. Right, this next one, this is a record I picked up a couple of years ago, and I did really like it, but it wasn't until I listened to it on headphones that I decided that actually I loved it, and it's one of my favourite records in my collection now. I played it on headphones just before Christmas, and I really, really enjoyed it. This is Bruce Cockburn and his album Stealing Fire, which is one of Bruce's more kind of 80s efforts. He's got a bit of a Dire Straits kind of sound and feel to it. So, musically, you've got to like that kind of slightly manicured kind of 80s pop rock sound. I mean, the songs are all fantastic, but on headphones, it's just a very, very well recorded record. Lots of very well thought out sounds, and the arrangement is just really intricate. And I mean, all the songs on this record sound great on headphones. I mean, try the opening track, "Lovers in a Dangerous Time," which is a great song anyway, but it really does sound brilliant in the cans. So that's Bruce Cockburn and Stealing Fire. Right, there are some records that sound great on headphones just because they have a kind of maximalist ethos behind them. Those records where it's like the kitchen sink and everything thrown in. Those albums have got to be mixed really well in order to work, but you get records where there's lots and lots of stuff going on, things buried in the mix, half buried in the mix, just a kind of intricate web of sounds and textures and things going on, and this record falls into that category. This is Belly Button by Jellyfish, which was a power pop album which came out in the early 90s. Jellyfish were an American band. They'd made a couple of records in the 90s, but they didn't find any commercial success really. But they're quite a cult band now. They're kind of looked upon quite fondly. They were a band out of time, really. They came up during the whole kind of shoegaze and grunge era, and they were making music that sounded like Supertramp, Wings, Queen and The Who. You know, they had a much more kind of classic rock and pop sound to them. But this record has got all sorts of great, wouldn't call it whiz-bang production exactly, because that makes it sound like it's just striving for effect for the sake of it. I mean, the arrangements are all in the service of the song, so it's artfully put together, but there's so much going on. It's very baroque. It's got that kind of Beach Boys, mid-1960s thing going on. So you've got clavinets, you've got kind of harpsichords, you've got little bells that go off, little triangle notes here and there. Lots of very thick layered vocals as well. You know, they use that kind of thick 1970s harmony sound. You know, think Cheap Trick, think Queen, just that kind of just that dense vocal layering, which always sounds great on headphones. Right, this next one sounds tremendous on headphones. It sounds great on a high-end system as well. I played it through my dad's hi-fi last year. He's got a very, very high-end hi-fi with some really incredible speakers, and we sat and listened to this record. But it sounds great on headphones as well. This is Rhythm of the Saints by Paul Simon, which was his Brazilian album. It was a follow-up to Graceland. And he did it with Brazilian percussionists, and again it's got that layered quality to it. So many polyrhythms, so many grooves and different drums, all playing slightly different things, but all at the same time. You know, again, any track I could pick from this. The Cool Cool River on side 2, it sounds wonderful. The Rhythm of the Saints, the closing track, is just absolutely beautiful on headphones. But the best one I'd say probably would be the second track, Can't Run But, which has got a very unusual kind of lopsided time signature, and just the range of percussion sound and instruments going on in that record, it's just tremendous. So again, it's one of those records that you might take for granted, but listen to it on headphones and, you know, whack up the volume, make sure the lights are turned down, and yeah, it's great. Okay, 2 more. This next one, an artist who became increasingly experimental as the 1970s wore on, and his records became increasingly interesting from a sonic point of view, and this is John Martin. And this is his album One World, which came out, I'm not sure when this one came out. I'll put the date down below, I think it was late 1970s. And it was the record, well, he'd started already experimenting with technology on his records, kind of echoplex units, and you know, playing guitar lines and having them come back at him and kind of, you know, layering. And but on this record he really started experimenting with space and layering and atmospherics. And the great headphone track on this record is the closing song on side 2, which is called Small Hours. Which is a very intimate and mysterious song. It's quite spectral. If you imagine, I don't know, it's like listening to music kind of at the end of the universe, you know, where the light is dying and everything's very peaceful. There's a kind of twilight quality to it. And on headphones you can really just totally lose yourself in that sound and that atmosphere. Lots of very delicate guitar parts and lots of echo and reverb. Everything's very peaceful and blissed out. Small Hours by John Martin. And I thought I'd finish with just a straight down the line classic pop rock record, and this one is Tusk by Fleetwood Mac, which is one of the best sounding albums of the 1970s. It's got a sheen to it. It's quite interesting because it was kind of known as being the slightly bumpy successor to Rumours, and Rumours was seen as being this very kind of well produced kind of soft rock masterpiece. And Tusk was meant to be this kind of slightly odd, jagged, unpredictable follow-up. But in fact, apart from the Lindsay tracks on this record, which do have that kind of DIY quality, Christine McVie's songs and Stevie Nicks' songs on this record, they're not a million miles away from the stuff that was on Rumours. The song I'll highlight from this record is on side 3, and it's Christine's song Brown Eyes, which again has lovely splashes of Rhodes piano. It's like that Kate Bush song that I highlighted earlier. Very intimate, very warm, just a song to lose yourself in. So yeah, wanted to include that, Tusk and Brown Eyes. Now there's loads more. I could have picked, hundreds more, but I mean those are the 10 that I went for. Another album that sprung to mind was Sheet Music by 10cc. which is their second album, also sounds brilliant on headphones as well. In fact, most of their stuff from the first 3 or 4 albums, you know, sounds great. But yeah, I could have picked loads more. So rather than picking loads and loads, I'll throw it out to you, and you know, maybe it'll turn into a thread. Give me 10 great songs or albums for headphone listening. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.